Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. We talk about the problems people face in their day to day lives. Let's start with the video.
My brother-in-law has been a miserable, bitter person ever since I've known him, but he crossed all his boundaries this time and got caught red-handed. Before I get into what actually happened, I'll tell you guys a little about my family. I have a twin sister. Let's call her Delilah. Delilah happens to be married to the biggest douchebag on the planet, my brother-in-law, Richard. The thing about my sister and her husband is that they've been together since middle school, and I think at this point she doesn't know how to exist without him. We're 28 now, so yeah, they've been together for a very long time. Richard can be nicely defined as a deadbeat waste of space. He has cheated on my sister multiple times. His favorite hobby is getting drunk, and every single person in my sister's life has begged her to dump him for years. I kind of feel bad for her. She's stuck in this horrible relationship but can't leave him for some reason. I have tried to talk sense into her for years, but she has this ridiculous hope that he will somehow get his act together. Coming to me, I met my lovely wife 3 years ago. Our friends set us up on a blind date, and luckily we hit it off almost instantly. She's probably the funniest, kindest person I know, and I am so, so lucky to have her. When I first introduced her to my family 2 years ago at Christmas, everyone seemed to love her just as much as I did. However, Richard seemed to like her a bit too much. He didn't say anything the first time she met the family, but as she began to become a part of the family and came over to family events more and more, he started getting downright creepy. I won't get into the details because it honestly is disgusting, but let's just say that he tried to make a move on her once and proceeded to blame it on the alcohol. My fiance was extremely uncomfortable, and ever since then, we have avoided going to events to which Richard and Delilah were invited. I tried to talk to Delilah about it, and she didn't do anything. She made vague excuses about how Richard gets when he's drunk and said that he didn't mean anything. She did apologize to my wife, but we decided to maintain our distance ever since. That was around a year ago. Flash forward to a few weeks ago. My wife gets a text on Instagram from her old college roommate's little sister. The message said that she had something urgent to talk about and would appreciate it if my wife could call her ASAP. She told me about it, and we were really curious about what it might be. They hadn't spoken in years, so we were curious about what it might be. We decided to call her, and what she said completely blew our minds. So, Emma, who texted my wife, is a photographer and graphic designer. She told us something incredibly shocking. She told us that a client had reached out to her to Photoshop something private. When asked what he wanted, the client said that he wanted her to create an image of him and his long distance girlfriend together in bed as a surprise to her. Now, Emma usually didn't accept projects like this, but he was very persuasive and convinced her that this would be a fun surprise for her because they weren't able to meet for their anniversary. After she agreed to take the project, Richard sent her a picture of his supposed girlfriend, and guess who it was? My wife. Emma saw her and recognized her. She follows my wife on Instagram and knew that she was engaged to me, so immediately texted her on Instagram. So that's how we found out that Richard was trying to create fake images of her. We were disgusted and couldn't even fathom how perverted someone has to be to want something like that. I mean, we had always known that Richard had a thing for her, but we had no idea he would go to such extremities. Emma asked my wife what she wanted to do, and she told her just to tell Richard she won't be able to create the images and not give him any explanations. She agreed. We thanked her and then started thinking about what our move would be. I certainly never thought that my wedding day would turn into a nightmare, but that's exactly what happened. My wife and I had been planning our wedding for months, and we were both excited to celebrate our love with our family and friends. We had chosen a beautiful venue, hired a talented DJ, and even arranged for a photo booth so that our guests could take fun pictures throughout the night. It was supposed to be a night filled with laughter, dancing, and joy. We finally decided to carry on with the wedding and confront Richard later in front of all our family members. In hindsight, I can see that we probably should have confronted him before the wedding, but neither of us thought that he would try to pull a stunt at the actual wedding, and we didn't want to say something and ruin our wedding. On the day of our wedding, though, it was as if our worst nightmare came true. After the ceremony, when everyone was making toast and having a good, wholesome time, Richard got up and said he had something to confess. He was visibly drunk, and my sister tried to stop him from saying anything, but he was stubborn. In front of all the guests, he took the microphone and started making wild accusations. He claimed that my fiance had slept with him and that he had photographic evidence to prove it. He even showed the pictures to our parents, who looked horrified. I was in shock. My wife looked mortified, and we could see all the guests starting to talk amongst themselves. It was a huge mess. Having no other option, I got up and told everyone about Emma texting us before the wedding about Richard wanting to create fake images of himself with my wife. It was obvious that he had found someone else to create those images. Richard tried to deny that, but we had proof of his conversation with Emma. My sister was horrified. My groomsman kicked Richard out of the venue, and my sister followed him in tears. The whole thing ruined our otherwise beautiful wedding day. I felt horrible for my parents for having to witness that. We had to cut our reception short, and everyone went home earlier, and we didn't get to have our grand exit in our getaway car. The wedding was last week, and we've had no contact with Richard or Delilah since then. But last night, Delilah texted me saying that she had something important to talk about and asked us to meet at our parents' house. I asked if Richard was going to be there, and she said yes. My wife refuses to ever see him again, but she told me I should go and hear her out. I have heard from my cousin, who's very close to my sister, that my sister has decided to leave her husband and move on. I really hope this is true. I'm anxious and agitated about what is going to happen, which is why I'm writing this post to vent. I'll drop in an update about what happens. Wish me luck. Update 1. I haven't met my family yet, but we've gotten so many questions on that post that I decided to answer a few. Many people have asked if we plan to take legal action against Richard for his actions. We haven't decided on that yet, but my wife's best friend is a lawyer, and she has said that we do have grounds for a lawsuit. I think it depends on what my sister does. I hope that she decides to finally leave Richard, but if she tries to take his side, we are going to take legal action. It is a complicated situation, but we want to make sure that he faces consequences for his disgusting behavior. If Delilah doesn't do the right thing, we'll have no other option than to take this whole matter to court. The reason we're a bit apprehensive about that is that we just want to leave the whole thing behind us, and my wife is still extremely embarrassed and uncomfortable about the whole thing, and doesn't want to speak about all of that in a courtroom in front of strangers. If it was up to me, I'd file a lawsuit, but I've decided to respect her wishes and have kept that option as a last resort. Update 2. I've got some good news, guys. At the family meeting, Delilah announced to everyone that she had made the difficult decision to end her relationship with Richard. She explained that she could no longer be with someone who had betrayed her trust and broken her heart. The room was silent as she spoke, and everyone could see the pain in her eyes. They had separated on the day of the wedding because she couldn't bear the thought of living in the same house as him after what he had done. She had asked him to come there specifically because she didn't know how he'd react and wanted us to be there just in case he tried to do something reckless. Richard tried to speak up, to apologize and beg for forgiveness, but none of us wanted to hear him out, especially Delilah. She didn't want to hear his excuses or empty promises anymore. She had made up her mind and she was going to stick to it. We kicked him out of the room, and all of us are going to their place to take her stuff and help her move out. Delilah has also apologized to my wife in person, and everything is all right between us now. My wife and I are leaving for our honeymoon 2 days later, and Delilah is going to stay at our place for the time being because we'll be gone for a few weeks and she needs a place to stay while she figures things out and finds a new place to live. I guess there was a silver lining to this nightmare after all because my sister is finally free from that horrible relationship. Update 3. I completely forgot to address the whole lawsuit thing. We have decided not to go through with it because Richard is out of our lives permanently now. I know a lot of you had strongly suggested suing him, but this is what my wife wants, and I'm okay with whatever decision she takes. It makes me sick to think how obsessed this guy was with your wife to go to such lengths on your actual wedding day. People never fail to shock me with their audacity. I feel really bad for your wife and your sister. They both must be extremely traumatized from seeing those images. I still think you should have filed a lawsuit, but I understand that your family doesn't want to revisit this incident ever again. Sending love and strength to your whole family. Sorry your wedding day was ruined by your ex-brother-in-law. You really should have confronted him before your wedding day to prevent this whole nightmare from happening. But all's well that ends well, I guess. Next story. So my niece, Carmen, had her 11th birthday last week. A few months ago, she texted me that she would like a pair of Nikes, which were around $150 for her birthday. I budgeted $150 for it. 3 weeks ago, she called me and asked, instead of the Nikes, can I split her gift so that she and her neighborhood friend Conan, 12, can both have something. Carmen and Conan share a birthday and are best friends. Apparently, Conan's mother told him ahead of time she probably would not be able to get him a birthday present this year due to having to prioritize car repairs. So Carmen wanted to share her gift so he wouldn't have anything on his birthday. I asked her if she's sure, and she said yes. I asked what she would like, and she said she and Conan really want some Crocs. Apparently, Crocs and charms are all the rage in their school nowadays. Got sizes, fave colors, and whatnot. So I got to work. I was able to get 2 pairs of Crocs, 2 pairs of Croc flip-flops, and 2 packs of anime Croc charms, all for under $120, thanks to stacked coupons and sales. I even threw in some anime hoodies, only went over budget by $7. Not bad. I should note that my sister, Carmen's mother, is low income and they live in low income housing. My gift is usually the big ticket item and my sister always gets something much smaller. That being said, I also don't make a lot of money, so I didn't want to just get some Crocs. I wanted to stretch that $150 as far as it would go. Their birthday comes and I gift them to them and they are ecstatic. Super happy, spent like 45 minutes talking about all the different charms and the characters from shows like Naruto, Demon Slayer, Juicy Kaisen, or some shit. I happily listened while they chatted and talked, and then we had takeout that I ordered and cupcakes prepared by Conan's mom and watched anime all day. It all turned out that Conan's mom did manage to get both kids something small after all, that Conan picked out for both of them. They both said it was the best birthday ever, IMAO. Conan's mother took me aside privately and profusely thanks me and says she'll pay me back as soon as she can. I tell her no need because this was a gift from Carmen to Conan, not from me. I asked her to just be good to my niece when she comes around. She asked if she can thank me by cooking dinner, so I'll be coming over for dinner sometime. Later that day, my sister sees the gift and is irate. She apparently had planned for me to buy Carmen the Nikes as her school shoes and is upset with me because Crocs aren't real shoes. I asked if they are not allowed to wear Crocs to school and she said they are. So I said she can just wear them to school. It doesn't seem to be a big deal to me. The kids are happy and had a great birthday. That's all that should be important. She absolutely disagrees and is still upset with me weeks, days, not weeks, later. AITA? NTA, your niece will probably need sneakers for gym class or colder months, but that's not your responsibility. If your sister was hoping you'd provide Nikes, she should have told you so. And even then, it wouldn't be an obligation. I think what you did was great. NTA, your niece asked for a specific gift and asked if she could reduce her gift to be able to share with her friend. That's one amazing young person, and you are an amazing aunt for supporting her to do something so selfless and inclusive. Your sister is probably just a bit annoyed and maybe worried about now having to budget for new school shoes, but that's not really your problem. She is the parent. Next story. Things have been tough at home, I won't deny. Anyhow, this one makes so little sense to me. I'm hoping someone can help me see if I am indeed the a-hole. During the pandemic, and ever since too, I, 53, female, had to go into the office every weekday, and I got into a habit of buying myself inexpensive grocery store flowers about 2 times a month to brighten up my desk. About a year ago, he, 52 male, told me he hated that I buy myself flowers because he should be buying me flowers. I honestly thought he was joking, but I told him he can always buy me flowers and left it at that. This past week, I was particularly happy with my choice of stems and my arranging skills, and since it's a long weekend and I still wanted to enjoy them, I brought them home. Tonight after dinner, he asks, "Who bought you those?" And I joked, "My best friend and biggest fan, me." And I kid you not, he was livid. Like he really believes I should not buy myself flowers. He somehow thinks, I don't know, I'm buying flowers to make him feel bad. I tried to tell him again that he can always buy flowers, there is no such thing as too many, and that my buying flowers to enjoy at work has nothing to do with him. But he started raising his voice and getting really angry, saying this has been going on for a long time and this is just another example of how I make him feel less than. Help me out. Is there something I'm missing? AITA? Edit. He bought me a beautiful elaborate flower arrangement 2 years ago for our anniversary, and he has bought me potted flowers and fruit trees for the yard as gifts. He got pretty mad at me that I don't spend enough time picking the fruit or tending the flowers, which I get. I tried to assure him that I really do appreciate the gestures, but I have a tough time keeping up with outdoor gardening on top of full-time work. And, to be honest, my other interests, which take me out of the house a lot, since honestly, home feels pretty toxic right now. He works part-time and is in charge, his words, of the outdoor upkeep. We've had conversations about getting professional landscaping and an irrigation system, etc., but he has yet to move out on anything. I feel like if I were to ask again, he'd feel like I was nagging. He started planning for building a fence 6 months ago and has yet to put one screw into one board. Oh, and tomorrow is our anniversary too. NTA. This is him trying to guilt you into lowering your standards for your own life and happiness because he can't be bothered to make any effort for you. His lack of effort speaks loudly of how he feels about you. His hatefulness about you loving yourself also speaks loudly of his believing you don't deserve nice things. Screw him and the horse he rode in on. Buy yourself a bigger bunch of flowers from now on. NTA, people buy flowers for themselves all the time. They buy them as you do for work, and they buy them to decorate their homes. Even though your husband is acting like it, there is no law or rule that says flowers have to be bought by someone for their partner. I don't know why your husband's getting so insanely upset, but whatever his reasons for being so bothered, that is his problem to deal with, not yours. And obviously, if he really wants you to stop buying flowers for yourself, then he could make it a priority for himself to go to the grocery store twice a week and buy you flowers. Seems like a simple solution to a self-made problem that your husband has dreamed up in his head. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.